Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. So in today's video we are going to be discussing new updated Gamora and my thoughts about the buffs Kabam has given her. I'm sure all of you already by now know exactly what kind of improvement she has received. You have seen several videos around YouTube seeing her do some crazy damage, and everybody's been praising her so much. But I just wanted to make this video to kind of like try and give you guys a bit of a reality check. First of all those videos that I recorded are in ideal scenarios, because in order to utilize Gamora to get to these great numbers, you need to make sure you can constantly land your heavy attack. That means your opponent basically can't be stun immune or can't have limber node active on them. Second of all, even when opponent is not stun immune and you can freely land your heavies on him, you still need time to bait out the special attacks, and you need just to wait out the special attack animations. And Gamora's buffs initially are 9 seconds long, and I think during the fight they increase the length slightly, but that 9 seconds goes past really fast, so you end up playing kind of like a really twisted, fairly difficult play style, where you have to constantly kind of focus in between baiting a special attack, launching an attack or two, doing your heavy attack, and you need to make sure you manage to do all that within 9 seconds, and in majority of the cases that's really kind of inconsistent thing to pull off, because AI is not always going to behave the way you need. Majority of the videos that I have seen are being recorded with like Captain America Infinity War and Ronan synergies that do extend Cosmic Champion buff duration, and that's fair enough, but how often you are going to be kind of dedicating entire synergy team for one champion in a quest that only brings damage to the table? Because let's not forget, aside from increased damage output, Gamora received literally zero utility. She has True Strike on level 3, but it's only like 10-11 seconds, and it doesn't last nearly long enough for that to be a reliable kind of like tool in her arsenal. Not to mention it's on level 3, so that's so far away during like important fights. And here we can see Gamora against Winter Soldier. It is not easy to build up buffs with her, because she only receives them during her light and medium attacks, but your fight's main focus is pretty much going to be making sure you do not lose everything you have saved up so far, and you're going to be spamming the heavy attacks, and she receives nothing on heavy attacks. So my final thoughts about it is it's a really clunky playstyle. It's definitely difficult to pull off. It's not consistent. It really depends on AI of the opponent, whether it's going to behave the way you want it to. And aside from damage, she received nothing. So if we can take a look at the last 6 champions Kabam has updated, is Red Hulk, Luke Cage, Carnage, Venom, She-Hulk and Spider-Gwen. Spider-Gwen and She-Hulk received damage plus utility against evades and unstoppables, some power control in Spider-Gwen, and other things. Then we have Venom, who received like all around solid buff. He can shut down evade, he has True Strike towards the end of the fight, he gets a lot of buffs just by playing regular fight. And then we have Carnage, who's also a champ that needs a lot of kind of like damage ramp up, but he still has that armor break, the bleed. He has a power gain when opponent's bleeding, and he's just much more fluid to fight, because you're going to be spamming specials, and that fight's going to be relatively easy compared to the one you have to use with Gamora. And then we have like Red Hulk and Luke Cage, which both are solid champions, both of their immunities, utilities, and decent damage outputs. And Gamora essentially got nothing. So I do like Gamora. I really wish I would like the buff that Kabam given to her, but I just feel that they kind of wasted it. I have played with Gamora more since I recorded these clips, and she is okay in like short bursty fights because of the guaranteed crits and special attacks. That's about it. She's just okay. There are champions that can outdamage her in long fights and in short fights, and she has no utility. I mean, obviously we have to make best with our 6 stars because Gamora is 6 stars, so she's not the worst champ to pull anymore, which is definitely not good. And here, well, with Gamora buff, I basically remember this forgotten gem of a champion. So here's Black Bolt, obviously, in order to make his buffs permanent as well. You need the full synergy team, which is Royal Family, which is like also helping out Medusa, and many people quite often bring back Black Bolt for Medusa synergy as well. But anyways, the way he works is fairly similar. He builds up cruelties and furies throughout the fight, but let's say if you compare it to Gamora, it's a lot easier thing to do because you just need to play the game. Not to mention he has stuns on his special attacks and he's poison immune, much easier to control. And here we are fighting Winter Soldier just to see kind of like how many hits it's gonna take us compared to the 4-star Gamora. We're using exact same mastery setup, just obviously different synergy teams. And at this point, like both champions are looking fairly similar, like in terms of what they do, with the major difference being Black Bolt is much easier to manage in the fight because we do not have to worry about landing our heavy attacks. And if there's anybody out there who's gonna tell me that like, yeah, Black Bolt is an awesome champion, he does not need like a revamp or an update or anything like that, then I don't know, I just disagree with that, because everybody is always looking at Black Bolt as kind of like this dud if you pull him as a 6-star, right? So we have a champion that's completely ignored by the community. Nobody likes Black Bolt. Not really. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be somebody in comment sections that's going to say, yeah, Black Bolt's cool, I like him, but really, like, how many people you see using Black Bolt, right? And he can put up some really crazy numbers with this synergy as well. He gets his cruelties, his furies. Visually, the fights look extremely similar, apart from the fact that it's much easier, kind of like time fighting. And now you can take a look at Black Bolt, right? And put Gamora next to him. And Gamora, essentially, for many scenarios, is the worst champion here. But everybody's on the hype train and saying Gamora is this awesome and Gamora is that awesome. When obviously Gamora has some things that she can do better than Black Bolt, for instance the short and bursty fights, but Black Bolt has his stun, he gets his other things. Here we saw like a decent 40k level 2 attack. We're having like an easy time spamming our special attacks. Obviously our health is going down because we're using suicides, but that's exactly same in both setups. So I just kind of like thought that it's quite crazy that just because Kabam buffed something a little bit, everybody's thinking Gamora is that much greater, like now with the buff. So you see, we got him down, Winter Soldier down in 201 hit, which is less than Gamora did. Now, obviously, like if you were more aggressive and a bit riskier with Gamora, I'm sure we could have gotten Winter Soldier down in less hits, but still. Like in comparison, she's like relatively similar to Black Bolt in this scenario, and Black Bolt kind of like has a lot easier time achieving the same things. And while I was playing Gamora and testing for her, I drew incredible kind of like analogy in my mind. Not incredible obviously, but it just reminded me a lot of Night Rusher, because Night Rusher also kind of relies on doing certain things in certain amount of time, knocking down opponent quite frequently, whether he's heavy attack or special attack. And he also kind of like has his damage ramp up, which is A, his furies, and B, his debuffs, and then you kind of need to focus on keeping it up. So this is completely new champion, released extremely recently, and everybody's ignoring it. And he has so much more utility than, let's say, Gamora. And we're using here, just as a reference, 5-star, rank 3, Sig 60, I think. And his damage goes up with a Sig level quite a bit. But anyway, so you can see the playstyle is quite similar. We can stack up to 10 Furies, that is going to increase our damage output. And we can keep the 3 gadget debuffs on Winter Soldier constantly that also do damage him. Here we messed up a bit, but I just didn't want to re-record because I was recording these at work. But aside from everything else, he's also Incinerate immune, he has Taunt, his skateboard attacks basically has true precision, and he has definitely much more things he can do aside from Gamora. And not to mention his gadget debuffs last 12 seconds rather than the 9 seconds that Gamora's buffs last. The Furies are permanent. Level 3 essentially doubles the duration of all the gadget debuffs. And we do not necessarily need to heavy the opponent, we just need to knock him down, whether that would be with a special or heavy attack. And that makes for a lot more fluid fight compared to the Gamora one. So again, we are looking at a new champion that can do a lot more things, and in this video we're gonna see that he's actually gonna out damage Gamora. And like, I know it's a 5-star, but it's a rank 3 5-star, so damage is kind of comparable, especially because this Night Thrasher isn't max sig and his damage increases quite a bit with his signature level. But anyway, so this champion came out recently. Nobody plays with him, not really. Nobody talks about him. Nobody thinks he's like an awesome character when he's just so much better than Gamora in terms of kind of like utility, damage, and just like a smoothness of the fight. So we're gonna see how many hits it's gonna take us for the Winter Soldier takedown here. I actually forgot myself, it was like yesterday when I recorded this. But we can definitely see we're having much easier time fighting there. The fight is fairly fluid. We do not have to necessarily spam heavy attack. We can do if we want to. And here I was just kind of like trying to sell myself to level 3 in order to increase the buff duration. Level 2 is good for damage increase. And yeah, so back to the subject. So here we have a champion that plays extremely similar to Gamora, just kind of like better, upgraded. And still nobody in community talks about him, but everybody sees some 100 plus level 2 attack and automatically assumes like that's an awesome thing to have. So this video is kind of like me ranting a bit as well, but please do accept my apologies for that. It just sometimes infuriates me that people jump on a hype train extremely quick, and the more thought I gave to the Gamora buff, the more disappointed I got it. And I really wanted Gamora to be a really good champion, because Gamora was my first 3-star. I got through so much content with the Gamora. I absolutely loved her. I still do. Like, I'm sure each and every one of us have like that one champion that we got like initially that helped us through a lot of content. And Gamora, that was for me, like with Gamora. And I really wanted like Gamora, and I played with her and I tested her in quests, and no, there's nothing special about her. She just got a tiny bit of damage, 0 utility. She can ramp up her damage if she has like a special synergy team dedicated to her, but it's really hard to do like in an average fight with no synergies. Plus the fact that you need to have essentially a stun immune opponent, and yeah. Anyways, here is just a short clip for a comparison, like, because I'm going through a couple of champions and their damage output. So again, we have same mastery setup. So we have our Star-Lord, and Star-Lord is going to take down this Winter Soldier in about like 125 quick hits. Gamora was like 210. So if you like damage ramp up champions as opposed to like champions like Night Thrasher or whatever, then Star-Lord is for many people still go-to guy, or at least should be. But people like have moved so far away from him, when in reality he's much champion than Gamora still, because he's so much easier to play. Anyways, one thing I wanted to quickly mention before I finish the video is new synergy with Guillotine, and I really like how Kabam has been giving Guillotine more and more synergy partners. And now, actually, it's starting to look quite decent. It just seems that she's missing one last component. But if you guys want to see huge-ass special attacks, here is going to be one nice from Guillotine. If you guys do want, I can make a separate short video explaining how it exactly works. But here we can see Guillotine taking... This is a rank 4 Guillotine, by the way. Guillotine taking down that Winter Soldier essentially in about 100 hits, and that special 3 hit the Winter Soldier for 171k damage. I think that's quite awesome, and I do think they add some more synergies with guillotine. Anyway, sorry for the long rant video guys, got to run, and see you guys next time.